It started with a pair of sneakers. Not expensive ones, just clean, minimal, all white. The kind that blends in with anything. I was standing in the store, debit card in hand, convincing myself this was a treat. I'd been working hard. I deserved them, right? That's what we always say. But in that moment, I caught my reflection in the mirror behind the shelf. Not my outfit, not my shoes, just my face. I looked tired. Not physically, tired of wanting things. It hit me. I'd been spending to feel in control, but the more I spent, the more control I lost. What I really wanted wasn't new shoes, it wasn't status, it was space, mental space, emotional space, the kind of peace that comes from not needing more. I didn't want to look successful, I wanted to feel free, and I realized somewhere deep down I wanted my life to be quiet, not in volume, in pressure. I didn't want to hustle harder just to keep up with a lifestyle I didn't even like. But that's not the world we live in. The world says, bigger is better, faster is smarter, more is winning. So we stretch ourselves to fill a life that's already full of noise. More clothes, more gadgets, more upgrades. And for a while I played along. Every paycheck meant a new reward. Every little financial win turned into another reason to spend. I thought I was celebrating progress, but I was just avoiding stillness. And deep down, I was scared. Because what if living below my means meant I was falling behind? It didn't help that everyone around me was doing the same dance. Friends financing brand new cars, co-workers planning luxury vacations on borrowed money. We were all quietly drowning in choices we couldn't afford to maintain. Then came the quietest shift. I didn't hit rock bottom, I didn't max out my credit cards, I didn't have a breakdown, I just stopped. One day I deleted the shopping apps, I paused all unnecessary subscriptions. I told myself I'd try 1 month of spending like I actually cared about the future me. And in that 1 month everything changed. I noticed how often I bought things out of boredom. I felt the freedom of not needing to check my bank app every day. And for the first time in years I had money left over at the end of the month, and no guilt attached to it. That single quiet decision became a chain reaction. I started budgeting, not obsessively, just intentionally. I sold things I didn't use, I simplified my meals, I drank my coffee at home, and I felt rich. Not because I had more, because I needed less. Now I live below my means by choice, not because I have to, but because I want to. Because every dollar I don't spend is a dollar that buys me time, flexibility, and peace. People think frugality is about saying no, but really, it's about saying yes to the things that matter. Yes to waking up without anxiety. Yes to building wealth quietly, instead of flashing it loudly. Yes to freedom. Living below your means isn't flashy, it doesn't get applause, but it builds something most people will never have. Options, margin, autonomy. The truth is, the richest people I've met never had the newest cars or the trendiest clothes. They had calm, they had space, and they had control. That's the quiet power of living below your means. I used to think freedom would come from finally making more money. The promotion, the side hustle that takes off, the big break, but I was wrong. Freedom didn't come when I earned more, it came when I needed less. I remember this moment a few years ago. Rent had just gone up. Groceries were eating half my budget, I was making more money than ever, but somehow, I felt poorer. Like I was running on a treadmill that just kept speeding up. And the finish line? Nowhere in sight. So I did something that felt small at the time but changed everything. I looked at my bank statements, not just the numbers but the habits. Every morning coffee, every little delivery, every digital subscription I forgot I signed up for. It was like opening a diary I didn't know I'd been writing, one that showed me I wasn't spending on things I loved. I was spending to avoid feeling stuck. And that's what most of us are doing, right? We're not buying the thing, we're buying the feeling we hope it gives us. Security, belonging, joy, control. But when the dopamine fades and the package is opened, the emptiness is still there. So we spend again, quietly, secretly. Until one day we realize, we don't own our stuff owns us. That realization hit hard, like waking up in a beautiful house with no keys to the front door. But here's what nobody tells you. Living below your means isn't about restriction, it's about reclamation. Reclaiming your time, your attention, your peace. I started cooking more, not out of obligation but because it slowed me down. I started walking to the store instead of driving, not because gas was expensive but because I finally had the time. And I started saying no to things, not because I couldn't afford them, but because they no longer aligned with the life I actually wanted. Something strange happens when you start living this way. You begin to see what the world tries so hard to hide, that most people are tired. Not from working too hard, but from chasing the wrong life. And suddenly simplicity feels like rebellion. Saying I have enough feels radical. Choosing not to upgrade becomes a flex no one sees. but you feel it in your bones. It's like stepping out of a noisy concert into a quiet night. The silence is shocking, until you realize it's exactly what you've been craving. I started noticing things I hadn't seen in years. The way morning light hits the walls of my apartment, the joy of a well-worn sweater, the peace of knowing I could handle an emergency without panicking. No more scrambling before payday, no more holding my breath at the ATM, just clarity. And that clarity started to spread. Because once you realize how powerful it is to live beneath your means, you start wondering, what else have I been overcomplicating? Relationships, goals, how I define success. I used to think being rich meant having more. Now I think it means needing less. And still feeling full. And if you've been watching this far, maybe, just maybe, you've felt that tug too. That whisper inside saying, there's another way. A slower, quieter, more intentional path. Maybe no one around you is talking about it. Maybe you feel like the only one who's tired of the grind, the pressure, the endless chase. But you're not alone. You're not broken. You're just awake. And that is the beginning of something powerful. You don't have to burn everything down or disappear from society. You just have to start listening to the part of you that's ready for less noise and more meaning. One choice at a time, $1 at a time, one quiet decision that says, I choose peace over performance. Because the truth is, living below your means doesn't make you small. It makes you sovereign. And no one can take that from you. The beautiful thing about living below your means is that at first, no one notices. It's invisible. You're not flashing a new car, you're not posting your latest shopping haul, you're just moving differently. But beneath that quiet surface, something powerful is happening. Every dollar you don't spend starts working in your favor, quietly, steadily. It builds a cushion, a safety net, and eventually, a launch pad. You start to see your money not as a tool for spending, but as a tool for buying back your time. A missed paycheck doesn't rattle you anymore. An unexpected bill doesn't throw your life into chaos. While others are one bad month away from panic, you've built space, breathing room, margin. And that margin, that's where freedom lives. I didn't realize it at first. But over time, the small, quiet decisions began to compound. I had savings, not to show off, but to sleep better. I could take risks, not reckless ones, but intentional ones. I could say no to a toxic job, take a sabbatical, explore a side project, not because I was rich, but because I wasn't chained to expensive obligations. That's the stealth wealth nobody talks about. It doesn't show up in luxury brands or viral posts. It shows up in how calmly you can sit in uncertainty. It shows up when you're not scrambling to keep up. It shows up when your life is designed for you, not for the expectations of others. And here's the thing, it's not about being a minimalist monk or living off-grid. It's about knowing what's enough for you and having the courage to stop there. Every time you choose to live below your means, you're not just saving money, you're building sovereignty. Sovereignty over your time, sovereignty over your decisions, sovereignty over your life. And over the years, that quiet discipline turns into loud freedom, because wealth, real wealth, isn't a number, it's a feeling. It's the feeling of waking up without anxiety. It's the feeling of knowing you can walk away from things that no longer serve you. It's the feeling of ownership, not just of your finances, but of your life. And you don't need to wait for a windfall or a perfect moment to start. It begins with a choice to unsubscribe, a choice to simplify, a choice to define wealth on your own terms. One choice at a time, you're not just saving money, you're building a life that's quietly, powerfully yours, and the world won't notice, but you will. You'll notice it in the calm that comes after saying no to a purchase you don't need. You'll notice it in the smile you give yourself when you realize you're no longer controlled by impulse. You'll notice it in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that while everyone else is sprinting in circles, you're walking your own path, with clarity. That's the silent wallet philosophy, not loud riches, but quiet control, not flashy abundance, but subtle, steady freedom. And if you're here, watching this, you're already part of it. This is your reminder that wealth doesn't have to be loud to be real. You don't need more to be rich, you just need less. And the wisdom to know when it's enough. Start today, simplify, cut the noise, and watch how rich your life becomes. Not in things, but in time, space, and peace. The quiet power of living below your means isn't just a strategy, it's a lifestyle, and once you taste it, you'll never go back.